remember what he used to say in some publication. There is a book with a
Who's who?
as the who's who. Have you looked at
Yes,
that?
I've got that.
It's I think who's who of
Central and Southern Africa. Yes, I've got it.
His picture is
His
there.
picture is there. I've seen that.
And that's a useful beginning.
Yes.
And I think it was done in 28 or 30, something like that.
I didn't check that.
I can't check that. I don't know
But
the
I've got a
date.
copy of that.
1934.
Sorry?
1934.
34.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my father came in 1911.
1911.
Officially, he was born in 1886, September 1886. But unofficially, he may have been born in 1883. One just doesn't know.
Okay.
So he came in the year about 14, 15?
No, in 1911. So that was about 25.
25.
As old as 25 he was.
25.
Wow.
So he was either 25 or 28. But the 28 is just a speculation.
Okay.
But 25 is when 1886, that's 14 years
14
plus
plus,
11.
yes,
So
25.
he was 25. He was a young man then.
Unmarried.
Unmarried. His father had some plots of land, not much. In the old days you didn't have too much. And so he wanted to go out to Africa. And one day, apparently, JB's father,
Babulal Kaka.
Babulal Kaka, he is our neighbor in our ancestral town.
Okay.
So the old house, which was,
That's in
old,
Dharmaj.
small little place, the wall separated our two families. So at that time, Babulal Kaka was already a manager here
Oh.
with Bimjiar Naik company
Right.
in the old Salisbury Street,
Okay.
where the Hugo people used to live there.
Yeah, okay.
And he was quite, in those days it was a small operation, but very few Indians here. And so Babulal Kaka was a big man, very authoritarian
Right,
also,
yes.
and a leader of the Hindu society, etc., etc. I'm not sure when Hindu society was formed, but so when Babulal Kaka was in India, my father asked him to help him come here.
Okay.
And so the only reason he thought about this country, Southern Rhodesia, because of his neighbor.
All right. Okay.
And Babulal Kaka was, of course, here a manager. Bimjiar Naik, the family is from Mumbai, I believe. And they invested here, I think in the late 19th or early 20th century, but they never settled here.
No.
So that's how one day JB's father arranged for my father to come. But of course, he had to find his own way.
Right.
So I believe that he worked for a little while in Bombay
Before coming.
before coming here. He worked in some laboring jobs or whatever. Because he hardly had even, I think, primary school 1 or 2. And then he came on a boat. I can't remember, or I don't even know whether he came in one of the Arab dhows.
Okay, those days there was a
Old
popular
boats.
one, yes.
Yeah. And there were 3 of them apparently on the boat together.
Okay,
One was Batawala,
Oh,
Batawala's father.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Oh,
coffee house.
grandfather.
Coffee
Right.
house, yeah.
Okay.
right? And so they came from Mozambique. Now in Beira, there was what we call the shipping companies, right? So there was a shipping company, I forget the name of it, but I'll remember in a while. They were quite big shipping companies.
Our people.
Indians, Hindus,
Damar Anandji?
Damodar Anandji.
Okay.
And they, of course, used to be the gateway
Right.
for
For
people
anybody coming.
coming or going.
Okay. Yeah.
And they used to put them up, feed them,
Yes.
totally free. Totally free. Nobody paid anything.
Yes.
So they helped like that.
Just as a goodwill gesture.
Correct. And from there, they came here and their first stop, I think, was then Mutali and then Mutare. No, not Mutare. Rusape was the immigration point.
Okay, not Amtali.
No, apparently Rusape was the immigration
Oh,
point.
okay.
For some reason, I don't know why.
Okay.
according to the stories.
Dada came with Balu Dada and
No. He
came
came
along.
independently.
And I still have his old red passport.
Good.
Okay.
There was like a stupa,
Yeah.
like the African stupa it used to be. Because there was no passport as such before World War I.
That records his entry date.
Yes, it records his entry date and all that. If you go to the archive
Right.
and just get the full name,
Yeah.
and approximately when he arrives, the archives will have a history.
History. Okay.
Apparently they're quite good at that.
Yeah.
So then he came here, and when he landed in, then he was put on a train, again by the network of Hindus in this area,
Okay.
Antali, Usapa, etc. And when he came here, apparently he didn't have any money on him. All he had was his clothes, so far as I know. And so he met Babulal Kaka here, or he met him, and then put him on a train after giving him lunch to go to Old Gatuma.
Oh.
Gatuma
Yeah.
was a center for various Hindus and Muslims at the time. And Salisbury was just beginning to take shape. This was about 1911.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so he stayed there and he worked for somebody. And Patco, Bikuba used to also operate there later.
Okay.
Big Dada.
Yeah, TB's father.
TV's father.
So TB will know a bit of that history. And I don't know if the building is still there, but as you entered Gatuma, the old Gatuma Road, on the left, at a corner, there was some old, tin building. That's where he was.
Oh, okay.
And he worked there, I think, until 1922 or something.
Almost 10
So I was
years.
told, about 10, 11 years.
Okay.
And then he moved here. And then what he did between 22 and 28, I'm not quite sure, because he may have worked for somebody or he may have started his own business. But in Charter Road, when he came in 1911 at the railway station, with the charge officer,
Yes.
and up to Resende Street and all of that was elephant grass.
Wow.
Oh.
And there were lions there.
Wow.
This was a jungle.
1911, eh?
Yeah, 1911. It was a jungle in those
Right.
days. And anyway, so he came here in 1922. This is a mixture of what my father didn't talk very much about his
His
past.
past. Yeah.
I think the past was very painful for him.
I'm sure.
So he didn't. I tried to record him, but he didn't want to talk. And my mother knew quite a lot of the background,
Okay.
because then he found a loan from Frankel, the Frankel brothers or whatever. They used to have a building on what is now Sam Nujoma and Robert Mugabe. Around that side there was a Frankel house.
Yes.
It may still be there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's still there.
That Frankel,
Right.
apparently what I heard is that through Bihubai's guarantee and others, because there was by now a group of Dharma's fellows around,
Okay.
he got a guarantee for a loan.
Nice.
And he got a loan, it was either £2,000 or £4,000 those days, I'm not quite sure,
Okay.
to build a charter road.
Okay.
So charter
Moneyben
road,
properties.
the charter,
Moneyben properties.
no,
No.
Krishna property,
Krishna properties.
the old Krishna property.
Suga, let me take you back to 1911 when he came.
Yeah.
When he came to the border, did he have to write
Yes.
competence in English exam?
Yes. You had to write a small test
Okay.
in those days.
Which he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see, because he was not very educated,
Right.
as many weren't, the
His-
local guys would have prepared him
Okay, right.
to write. The test was very simple, I gather. It was just to write your signature and a date and things like that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was very, very sort of what we call perfunctory test.
Okay. All right.
And of course, there were local Indians there who must have known immigration people.
Yes. We heard somebody by the name of Shingadia.
Shingadia was there. In Rusapa, Shingadia was a big family.
Okay.
And Shingadia, one of them went to Canada. One of the youngsters, well, our age,
Ashu.
Okay.
if he's still alive.
Yeah.
There was a guy called Arjun Shingadia.
Yes, I remember.
He was quite a
brother.
famous.
Yeah.
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 So if you talk to some people in Rusape, they would probably remember the family.
Yeah. Okay.
In Umtali, I can't remember which family it was.
Okay.
Anyway, so he started building there.
Yeah.
In those days, it was a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what he had, but it was the guarantee of people like JB's father. I don't know if others were involved, like Bigubai and so on. Because Patel Company then later became very big
Yes.
in Railway Avenue area.
Yeah.
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 Then in 27, I think he went to India. So he was here for about 16, 17 years. By the time he went back, his father had died, his mother had died, so far as I know. He had one sister, and there's some talk about him having a cousin brother,
Okay.
but nobody wanted to talk about the past.
Okay.
But the Foy, I had met her when I was little in India,
Okay.
so I know she was there.
When did he go back to get married?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
yes.
when you went.
About 27?
Yes, about 27, 28.
Right.
My mother was born in 1911,
Okay.
the year my
So
father came.
Came here.
Oh, look at
Okay. Right.
So by the time my mother was married, she was about 16. And my father, you can add up 27 and 14, so about 41. So there's a
My
25 year
dad did
gap.
say get married really late. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you've been to Dharmaj.
Yeah.
Dharmaj, if you go to the railway station, across the railway station is another village called Bochasan.
Which has not heard of it.
So that's where my mother comes from.
Okay.
With the Somnaran Mandir.
Yes, yes.
The big Swaminarayan Mandir is there.
That's easy.
How many kilometers? About 3-4 kilometers, something like that. In those days,
You used to walk.
sorry?
Those are the used
Oh
to
yeah,
walk.
yeah. I mean, I've walked
walking.
there too. You know, when I was little. But when you are little, it looks far away and feels far away. So my mother came from a very poor family also, and she remembers having to go when she was little to draw water from the village well and things like that. So in those days, if you were a youngster, you didn't have much money, you weren't educated, etc. But you had come to Africa.
Oh, you were.
The idea of
Yeah.
people coming from Africa
Yeah.
was like you were coming from some paradise.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Yeah. Rich.
And so they found this girl, my mother, across in Bochasan. When she came here when she was 16, I think Babulal Kaka and his relatives, Narhari Bai and others, Soma Bai, Vishnu's father, and Vishnu's, they must have been here from, I'm not sure, but Merrick Park was the center
Yeah.
of the Hindu life anyway, in a way. Then Charter Road became the center because it was nearer, so we had lots of people staying there for years and years. And then Maniben came during World War II or just after World War II. And there Ali Adam and all these other crowds used to stay there. So Charter Road was built like a Spanish courtyard,
Okay.
where there were various shops and then rooms at the back.
Back.
Yeah.
Now the idea was to rent those places and recover. So I think for a year or two it was not so great as far as I was told. But then it started picking up. And so gradually, you know, when people made a little bit of money, saved a little money, they went to India.
Yeah.
That generation's idea was that they would retire in India.
Okay.
Not yet. But over the years, people began to change. Like my father went to India in 1968 to retire and to die in India, in his home. But then he got a bit lonely, he came back in 71 and he died here in 74. So your father, I think, joined us maybe in 1942 or something
Yeah, something
like
on me.
that. before that there was another fellow called Vallabhbhai.
Yeah, well,
Your father,
when he went on holiday, my
Yeah.
dad left Nagaji and joined
us
that
because he was with Nagarji. Now your
But
father
Hasubhai-
must have been 18 or 19 then,
Yeah, he was
something
very young.
like that.
But Hasubhai, tell us more about the contributions that Ali Dada made towards the establishment of the Hindu society. And
We hear that he was instrumental in
Yeah.
the setup of the mandir and all that kind
Now
of thing.
Mandir particularly
Yeah.
he was,
Yes.
because at one time he was secretary of the society.
Okay.
I don't know for how long.
Yeah.
And that's why you will see that photograph of the executive then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, it was 28?
1928.
1928.
1928.
Now, the Omkar temple, I think was started in 28 or
28.
28.
The foundation was put in.
Right. So my father, together with, what was the name? Morarbai. Not Dalpat Morar. But you know, the Morar family's old man, what was his name? He was very active also in society. Besides,
You talking about Prime
No, not Dalpat.
No, not Praveen.
No.
Need more.
Dalpat Morar or something, he was quite active.
It might be Jackson Kaka's old man.
Yeah, that's possible, yes. He was quite active
Yes.
in the now he may be in the photograph or not, I'm not sure. And so they collected the donations, I think mostly from then Salisbury, but also from other towns,
Okay.
I suspect. And so they started the Omkar. Now, the history of the Omkar is interesting.
Yeah.
What I was told is that they sat down, the old people, but then they were younger,
Yes, yeah.
and they decided not to put any murtis in the temple.
At that time, yeah.
The idea was that Omkar encompasses all
Oh, yes.
sort of factions or sections of Hinduism.
Yeah.
So anyone could come and feel at home. And so that's why it was called Omkar. And when it was built, it was probably one of the first Omkar temples in the whole of
I
the world.
believe so, yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
Certainly in Africa.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
See? So they were quite wise that way. Now,
Did the mandir come before the cemetery or?
that I'm not sure. You have to check the cemetery record. See, that cemetery is called Pioneer Cemetery. The reason is,
There is the thing there, the
Yeah.
19 something.
it was meant for pioneers and old soldiers.
Okay. And nobody else.
Yes.
I think 1918 or something.
Yeah.
It's written there.
Because World War I ended in
Yeah.
1918.
Right.
And so you might want to look at that. And then if Hindus, Muslims,
Chinese.
and Jews were allowed to bury or cremate in sections of that.
Okay.
Right.
That's how the cemetery is called. It's still known as Pioneer Cemetery.
Pioneer
It
cemetery.
is, it is now.
It is
But
called Pioneer
how did they come up with the mandir? Where did they get the land and who?
Well, that I don't know very much about that.
So
Maybe TB might remember.
Hari Dada, when he came back after getting married, then he continued with properties, because you said he
No,
rented
no.
out?
He was not into property very much.
No, but, he
But-
was, yeah.
He bought across moneymen from, I forget his name now. It was 42 or something like that he
Yeah.
bought up across the road.
Yeah.
But there was a Dharma syndicate.
Yeah, like the Surat syndicate.
That's right. Like the Surat syndicate, there was Dharma syndicate, and they bought
Haven't
apparently the whole what is now Avondale
Yes.
Uh-huh.
shopping area and all of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And of course, in those days, that was a jungle,
Swampland.
so it was quite far.
Yeah.
And the story is that my father didn't want to sell it, but some of them wanted to sell it, so he lost out and they sold it.
Okay.
But I think they sold it maybe in the late 40s, 50s, something like that. Because by the time we came back from India in 52, 49, 52, I don't think Dharma Syndicate had that property. But you can check on that. Then something else happened in the 40s. Around 42, 44, there was a split in Hindu society.
Oh.
Major split. I've written a bit about it some time ago, just in a line or two. There was a group which was the non-Charotar and non-Dharmak Patels, because the Dharmak Patels were lording it over in the society. And the stories are that Babulal Kaka, who was chairman, would not allow people to speak. He would even have a blank sheet of paper as a minutes and read it out and sign it and whatever. It was quite
called him Bulldog.
Oh, quite a totalitarian character. And so in those days, in a way, the Charotar Patels ruled the roost, so to speak, right? With a few of the Surat people in the group, in the society. Then, I think 42 or 44, I'll have to check the year, but Hindu society should have it in their record.
Yeah.
There was a breakaway group called the Hindu Association. And the breakaway was led by Suman Mehta's father.
Nagaji.
Nagaji Mehta.
Yes. And according to my information, by Manu P.D. Patel's father and that group.
Okay, Pablubai.
Yeah. And this was the group that are now making a rebellion against the Patels.
Okay.
And against the Charotar, because they come from Surat area.
Yeah.
What was the cause of the split?
And I think it was just positions, you know, like all factions, you know.
Okay.
Like you have in ZANU-PF, they want provincial chairman and all that. So it was a matter of taking control, or if you want to be polite, they were fed up with the dictatorship, you know, or whatever.
On democracy.
Yeah. But I don't think it was very much to do with democracy. It was very much to do with one faction overriding the other. So then they were expelled.
Who?
This group.
The rebel group.
Yeah, from the society.
Oh. So they
And
formed
then
the Hindu Association?
Yes. And they called something called the Hindu Association.
Not the Asian Association?
No, Asian Association is the
Came
political
later.
thing that
Okay.
comes much later,
Okay.
or comes parallel. Then, after a few decades, maybe 1 or 2 decades, I came back here in what, 58? Yeah, 58 to 61. By that time, the Trivedi brothers,
Yeah.
the Mehta, the Trivedis were working for Mehta.
Mehta,
Yes.
yes.
They wanted to come back to the society. And there is, if you look at the minutes,
Yeah.
if I'm right, the Hindu Association was not a breakaway from the Asian Association, but from the Hindu Society. But I may be wrong, but check that
Yeah.
out. And then they were, there's a minute to say somewhere that they had to dissolve that association to come back to the society.
Oh,
Okay.
It's either they come back to the society or come back to Asian Association.
Association. Yeah.
But they never did,
Yeah.
technically. But they're still incorporated.
Okay. Hari Dada, he was secretary of the society, but he continued working.
No, he continued working in his own way, but I
Yeah.
don't think he was in the executive for
No.
too long.
No.
I suspect that after the temple was built, you know, he probably was not very active in that way. But he used to go to the temple every day.
From my grandfather's time, that one of the stories was Hari Dada was, you know, about the Omkar.
Yes.
He was one of the key people in
Yes.
that group to insist on that Omkar being the all
Correct.
unifying thing, and that was the basis of that unity from those days.
See, that's why when this temple was built in Riju,
Yeah.
I objected very strongly. Not because of the temple, because it was KG and I who actually offered the Hindu Society to bring, I forget the name of the architect now, the architect who was in Ahmedabad, who was participating in rebuilding the Somnath temple.
Okay.
You know, Somnath temple was looted by Muhammad of Ghazni in Afghanistan many times.
Yeah.
And he destroyed that temple. And the renovation of that temple was one of the main priorities of Sardar Patel
Okay.
when he was Deputy Prime Minister. And so the guy who was involved, I forget his name now, he was based in Ahmedabad. KG and I even offered to bring him here free of charge to make up the drawings. Then that didn't happen, so at a later stage, society decided to build a temple, but brought in Mike Pierce,
Yes, yes.
the architect. Now the reason of bringing Mike Pierce was that he had stayed in Delhi,
And in you.
and his wife had studied in Delhi. So we, KG and I showed him various pictures and all that. He didn't stay long. So that design
Yeah.
is to give it an authentic idea.
Okay.
But we objected to, then the issue of the Omkar came up. It's in the society minutes
Yes.
that this temple will be known as Omkar Temple,
Yeah.
and it's a continuation of Cameron Street.
That's right. And there was a resolution to
There
that
is a
effect.
resolution
Yes,
to that.
I was aware that.
Then something else happened in 79.
Indira Gandhi.
No, Indira Gandhi was coming in 80.
Oh.
So KG, myself, GR, we talked with Haribana. Haribana was the secretary of the society for a long, long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
And he was not well.
Yeah.
And so we decided to ask him to stand as president,
Okay.
as a final sort of gesture for him.
Yeah.
He said, I'm paraphrasing, he said that he won't stand because Rambai Dullab wanted to stand.
Oh.
That was his friend.
Okay. Right.
I mean, that's the summary of what was happening. So we decided, well, we thought changes were going to come in this place sooner or rather than later. So we had to modernize the society. And we didn't think, as a group, we didn't think that, I told Rambai that also on his face, so I'm not talking behind his back, that we didn't think he was the right person to be president of the society when things were going to change.
Change. Yeah.
So then we thought about it, what to do. Then they came up, KG, GR and others came up with the idea that I should stand. So I said, look, I've passed it now, the new generation must take over. He said, no, we have to do something. So I said, okay. At the end of it, I said, I'll take it for 1 year.
1 year.
That's all.
Yeah.
And I will not stand again.
Yeah.
So when the time came, when the year had passed, they asked me to stand again, and I said, no, I refused. So in 79, we sort of took over. And we tried to modernize the constitution, modernize the way in which people saw the community and the temple and so on. So try and get ideas that, look, things that are going to change, and we need to change with it, or be much more publicly oriented. Anyway, it hasn't happened too much. So the temple issue became a big issue. And I think a lot of the wives were involved, basically. There were people like Vishnu's wife, there was Vishnu's, what is his name? Bhupendra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bhupendra's wife.
Yeah.
Then there was, who else was it? There were 3-4 wives there.
They were insisting on the idol.
And they wanted the, well, I don't call it idol actually. I never call this, it's a bad term that Indians use in India.
Yeah.
It's actually a deity.
Deity. Yeah.
It's
Deity.
not an idol.
That's the correct form. Yeah.
But the Indians are stupid in India also. They use these terms. Anyway, the long and the short of it was, I was saying you have to go by what was the character of the temple we were trying to build. And then MP, Bhagat, they had long discussions with me. And I was arguing that really you have to understand what this temple is for. Anyway, they were saying, we have to change with the times, people want deities, this, that. So we went back and forth. Then we worked out a compromise. This went for a year or two, I think.
Yeah.
I remember in 91 or something.
18 months.
Huh?
18 months it was.
About 18 months.
Yeah.
So I worked out a compromise to say, look, if you like, you can put your deities, but you don't pray to the deities.
Yes. That's right.
But you don't put it in the center. The center is still Omkar.
Yeah.
And you have to keep calling it Omkar Temple.
Yeah.
Because this is not you see, in our system, when you have in the Hindu temple, I'm not a very religious fellow, but when you have a new temple, you actually, you have to bless.
Pran Pratishtha,
Right.
yeah.
You have to bless it properly.
Yeah.
And I said, you can't do it if you're going to do it with the deities. Vinay's wife.
Yes.
Vinay,
All these wives,
Meenakshi.
yeah, all these, they're all out of the country now.
They're all hardcore.
And Praveen, not Praveen, what's his name? Praveen's brother. Your brother.
Kirit.
Kirit. Kirit was there too. So I had all kinds of telephone.
Krishna, Bala Krishna.
All
Vishnu.
very, very basic.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm not against. All I'm saying is, you worship whoever you want, but not in the temple. In the temple, you can put various deities when the time comes for their pujas,
Right.
like Krishna Jayanti or whatever.
Yeah.
But as a temple, it should be Omkar. That was the idea.
Yeah.
I said, you come to my house, I pray every day, I have all the deities here, but not in the temple. Anyway, so then I left it. I worked out this compromise. Then KG, not so much KG, but GR and others, they thought I had betrayed them. I said, there's nothing to do with you or with them. It's a principle
Yes.
of the issue. So now we're trying to get a compromise. At one time, on one meeting, GR threatened to resign. And I was in the church, so I said, resign. We are friends outside, not here. Here we go by what is the rule.
The book, yeah.
See? Anyway, so finally there was some priest who had come here and I had a long chat with about 1991.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a long chat and I told the priest, I said, don't interfere in the domestic issues.
Yeah. He was trying to influence
He
the
was
matter.
trying to influence. I said, we respect you, but don't.
Yeah.
But we'll work out a compromise if we have to. So we worked out this compromise.
It was that Swami Sachinanand with
Yeah.
Govinda Kaka and they believe in
Okay.
from Haridwar.
Yeah, but this is not Sachidanand from Patel.
No,
No.
not that one. The other one.
Because Sachidanand,
Not Sachinanand, but it starts with the Sachi.
because Sachidanand came here after KG and I talked to him
Yeah.
for 2-3 hours when I went from Australia. And when he came here, I wasn't here. Anyway, so that was the reason for the temple. Then the issue of the Bhajan Mandal came up. There was NB's brother, Ramanbhai,
Oh,
and then there was VC.
Praveen Pisi.
Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Yeah,
VC
it's his
Patel.
dad. Yeah.
They all came up and they wanted to make a stand to say the Bhajan Mandal is separate from the society. So we don't come under the
Yes.
rules and regulations of the society and whatever
So,
we do.
which is this the Hindu bhajan?
Yes.
Yeah. There was the issue.
And then there was Pushpanjali, your brothers,
Yeah.
and they all got together, you see.
Yeah, yeah.
These are all politics going on
Yeah.
now. So we had a big meeting, I called a meeting. This is all in 79-80.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they said, no, but the Bhajan Mandal, we call it the Hindu Bhajan Mandal, but it's not part of the society, we can do what we want. I said, no. So I know this Bhajan Mandal is part of society. If you don't like it, you can leave. We will continue with the Bhajan Mandal if people are there, or we won't have it. But you're welcome to leave. This is VC Patel, my friend. I told him off also. Then they quietened down. Then there was another issue, now that I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Chotu Lalbai's son, what was his name?
Oh,
Dharmesh.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dharmesh.
No, there was another.
From Canada, wasn't he from Canada?
He went to, is it Chotu? No, it's Ira's son, Ira
Oh,
Bai's son.
Foxy.
Natu.
It's also in the youth league.
Natu.
No,
Not
he
to,
went to America.
Yeah, Natu.
Canada.
Yeah, she's
from
Natu.
Foxy.
Yeah, Foxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They came because there was a youth group,
Yeah,
Yes.
it's also been in the
So
youth
it's been in the
league.
youth
the
league.
youth league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was part of it.
So they were very, very active and all that. So one day they came up with a proposal to say that they will give about $11,000 or $14,000, I can't remember.
14,000.
14,000
Yeah.
to donate that in order to build the hall, because we wanted to build the
Bhojan
eating hall
Khand. Yeah, Bhojan
Oh,
Khand.
Bhojan.
at the back.
Yeah.
But they said, the dining hall, we are in control.
Yeah.
We do what we want.
Yes.
So I said,
No strings attached.
No strings attached here.
Yeah.
Because I know, I mean, I was young once. They wanted to have dinner, dance, and drinks and whatnot. So I said, look, if you want to have a drink, come to my house. If you want to have meat, don't come to my house. I'm a vegetarian. But if you want to drink, come to my house, but not in the society grounds. So we had a big fallout then. And so the Youth League decided, you probably remember much better than I do. So I told them, look, there's nothing against you. You have to respect different territories with their own traditions. You want to have a dinner dance? Do it at sunrise, do it somewhere else.
Not the
But
society.
not on society ground. So then they refused, and of course he ended up in all these characters who gave us problems.
Outside the
They
country.
are gone outside the country,
You know where you are.
most of them. Then there was another problem you will remember, because you came and
School.
argued with me once.
School.
The school idea.
Yeah.
Now the school idea, I became a kind of a, how shall I put it, the thorn in the flesh.
Yes.
Because my point of view was that you can build a school, fine, no problem. But don't build it on society grounds. If you put it on society grounds, sooner or later as the world changes, the Hindu community will become smaller. Because people were already beginning to go out, youngsters. So sooner or later you will lose control of the school, even though it will nominally be in your name. So some people were arguing, oh, you don't want the black kids to come and all. I said, no, they can come. They can be majority. But you know what parents are like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, parents will try to get the best deal for nothing and also then have a control.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Right? It happens. It happened in Chisapiti and I tried to sort it out there also. And so that was my objection. You and others were saying, oh, no, you are against. I said, how can I be against education? Been teaching all my life. But it was the question to look 10, 20, 30 years ahead.
Wasn't that the time when they had also the Twin Rivers coming
Yeah,
up?
Twin Rivers came out before.
In the West Street.
Before
Road.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
before Twin Rivers already came out.
Yeah.
They said, look, we already got a school.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why don't we...
No, that was another argument. But at that time, Twin Rivers, I gather, was not,
1 year old.
hadn't evolved.
No, we were there already. Twin Rivers 1 year older than.
No, you were there, but it hadn't evolved in reputation and all
yes,
of that.
yeah.
Because
And there was a demand for it.
It was
yeah.
still an experiment.
Yeah.
See? Now, of course, it's a major high school, primary school, whatever, very good. But in those days, I gather some Hindus and Muslims came together.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Part
You
of
know,
it,
him,
And-
MP.
MP was there
yeah,
too,
we
Lax
talked
was
to
there
24
also.
of us. Yeah.
Something else happened, Lax.
Yeah.
What happened? He sold a property, I think. And he got a lot of money. And he's a devout Hindu.
Oh,
Yes.
that...
right?
So he's interested.
So he wanted to give money because people were looking
Remember
for
that?
money.
Yeah,
Every
the
month.
500,000.
$500,000 is a lot of money.
At that
Yes,
time it
those
was.
days.
So he came to me because he was part of our card playing group. He said, look, I got this money. I made a vow and I would like to give this money. So I said, fine. What would you like to do with it? So he said he'd like to give it to the temple fund.
Yeah.
So I said, fine. But I said, do you realize that you have to keep the condition that this is an Omkar house? And if they're going to put deities in it, you have a problem. This is before the compromise.
Yeah.
So he said he'll think about it. So I said, it's your money. You decide what you want to do. He eventually gave the money unconditionally. They say, do what you
Yeah.
want, but I'm giving the money to the temple.
Alright.
So there are various issues that were coming up
Yeah.
in a period of
You
transition.
could only use the interest of it. Is it?
No, he's right, Hasubhai. What Hasubhai says is 500,000, and then later he gave another 100,000.
Yeah.
The interest of it was to maintain Camel Street
Camel
Temple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because that's, my father
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
in those days about $200 or something.
Yeah.
And from its interest, it was to assist some pupils or the temple
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
And society then wanted to abolish that fund. Eventually they did.
Because there were too many small plants.
Small
They-
things.
they
Yeah,
cut
let me
something.
go that
Yeah.
side. I don't like the sun too much.
Must have moved.
Anyway, so
Yeah,
that's
come this side.
that's the short and the my Hindu association used to still check whether I had mixed it up with society or the Asian association.
Could be the Asian Association.
You think it was
I think,
Asian
yeah, I
association?
think so,
yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But certainly there was an attempt, like happens with time, to finish an old order where one group of people were dominating, you know,
Yes.
in another.
Yeah.
Then the other issue came up is Sunrise. Sunrise Sports Club started in Merikpur.
Oriental.
Oriental Cricket Club.
Yes.
It became
You
part of
see?
the amalgamated.
And when
Yeah.
they amalgamated,
Yeah.
after the amalgamation, and I pointed this out to Sunrise many years ago, some of them, they never honored JB.
Oh,
Even society has not honored JB. Find out.
in what way?
Well, they gave some awards, remember?
Oh, I see.
To Jackson Bai and others.
Okay, and
Only-
JB was not
only-
given that
only Jackson.
recognition.
Never.
So the Oriental Cricket Club, how
That's
was
where
it?
his father was, and Gulab and others
Chankara
were.
and all, yeah.
But how was it incorporated into Sunrise? Was Sunrise already something happening there? Or?
No, I think Sunrise was a name that came from Merikpur.
Merikpur. Sunrise V5. It started.
Because people used to go and play tennis and all that.
I see. Okay. But so the founding of Sunrise was the original people from the Oriental Cricket Club.
Well, I don't know
Some
which.
of it.
Oriental
No?
Cricket Club was a cricket club, not played there.
Yes.
There was no cricket at
Oh, I
Merikpur.
see.
Just tennis.
Okay.
Just
Oh.
tennis.
Okay.
And to be invited in those days
Yeah.
Yeah.
to play at Merikpur was like, you know, getting a seat to Mandela's funeral or something,
Okay.
or our state occasion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So of course there was degree of arrogance also
Yeah.
Yeah.
by the Merikpur crowd and others,
Okay.
you know. And there was a degree of arrogance also by this Patel group. There's no question.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you are in power for too long,
Yeah.
you tend to become arrogant. Anyway,
Would you know how the Haridharas, when he came back, the Mandir mostly took time? What about the Liberty Hall and the Gujarati school?
Liberty Hall. Now Gujarati school was formed, I think, just after the war, in the 40s.
No,
No.
1928.
28.
The
around
same
that time,
same
around
year
the
as
temple time.
1928 the Gujarati school building was built
And,
and the Mandir foundation was 1929 February.
okay, now the school I remember was built.
Yeah.
I went to study there myself.
Yes,
you went
you were the first.
And I remember once, just by who was the headmaster,
master.
Yeah.
even slapped me once, you know,
Okay.
Indradhan's father.
Yeah.
In that school,
Yeah.
there was I think the first headmaster was a guy called Bitsu.
Bitsu, yes. It's,
Might-
there's
there
the
are
photograph of it.
photograph of it.
And a lady, the lady teacher
There
was,
was a lady
Naidu,
teacher, I can't remember
Naidu
her
or
name.
Pillai.
Ah. And in that school, when they built it,
Yeah.
there were hardly 10, 20 students.
Right.
But they built it for the future.
Future.
The vision.
With a vision 20 years, 50 years from now, how many kids will we have?
They built it because the government then had no interest in.
No interest, none at all. None at all.
And when you were there, because at one stage they had hostels on the top floor.
Yes, they were
Right, that's
hostels
the-
also.
But when you attended, was it still hostels?
I don't know if it was a hostel because I remember when I was little, and there are some photographs there.
Yeah.
There was another, what was the group called?
My dad recalls in 35,
Gaurang or something there was called.
he was in the hostel there.
He was in the, but there was a Gaurang or something. There was some group.
Gunjan.
Good.
Gunjan party.
And we went to we
Paira.
went to Mozambique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hansa almost drowned.
Yeah, I've got
Right.
I think GM knows about
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So,
GM.
so we've got that whole
We got
Gunjan.
that.
We've got that.
He's got,
video.
they've given him the whole book.
And then there are some photographs I remember in some. You will see me as a little boy in
Yeah.
the temple
Okay.
and in the school.
Do you
photograph.
We've
do
got
you
that
do you
Gunjan.
have memories of when they brought Gandhiji's Asthi and they had the procession?
I was just thinking about it the other day when
Yeah.
when I watched Mandela's funeral on Sunday.
Yes.
I remember going to the railway station,
Okay, that's good.
and this must have been because we left in 49 to 52.
That's
Right.
right. That's
It was either 48 or early 49.
48.
48.
48, yeah.
When his ashes were taken all over the world.
Yes, yes.
We got a photograph of that.
Because we didn't see the ash, we just saw the container.
The container, yeah.
Yeah. That was, I remember
We have
seeing
a
it.
photograph of that.
And there's a photograph which I think you are in there as well. Dr. Bhagat or Bob Badolia, all of you.
Oh,
young
I don't
people.
know that. I haven't.
No, you must show him the photo.
I haven't seen
You
it.
are in that photo.
Yeah.
So when Haridada was here, you were here in the Five
Yes.
Sisters, right?
Yeah.
You got the Five Sisters married
That was, they were doing overseas. That is all
overseas.
Overseas. But the other thing what was it? I'm trying to remember now.
Azuka Umedram, you
Yeah.
heard of that name?
I've heard of the name Umedra.
He apparently was the first headmaster of the school.
Or before Bichu.
When you were there at school, what was the medium of instruction?
It was Gujarati.
Gujarati, is
Yes,
it?
Gujarati school.
So,
proper Gujarati.
Exactly. So, those who taught English were the teachers who came from South Africa.
Correct. Correct.
People like
Billy and Nadu, right?
Bathar was there.
that's right. Those are the ones. Okay.
And was there a
So when did government introduce this three-tier system of education where you had Europeans and then colored and Asians and then the Africans? Did that come in the 50s?
It must have
For
been
example, when was Louis Mountbatten formed?
Louis Mountbatten. It was in the old Chinoya Street.
Yes, but
we used to call it the train.
right.
And Louis Mountbatten School. We also, like Fei Chung used to be with my class.
Okay.
Yeah.
I met her the other
I
day.
know her from those days
Okay.
because she had very long hair and everybody was excited about it. So the Chinese, there were very few Chinese
Yeah.
at the time. They used to come to that school. And some mixed race people used to come to that school.
So would you say the early 50s?
That
No,
was
1944.
No, 54.
Because
The Morgan Secondary School started in 54
Goodwill Center.
at just across the government school, Louis Mountbatten School.
because Louis Mountbatten's golden 25th anniversary was in 1969. So if you count back,
It was
Before that.
49. I remember going to Louis Mountbatten School.
yeah. So it was
Because
around.
in the morning we used to go to Louis Mountbatten School. Afternoon we went to Gujarati School.
Did you? And then were you attended the school where it was by Victoria Street down at the bottom?
Chinoy
Yeah, that's the
Street.
one.
Chinoy
Chinoy.
Street.
That's the old
Street.
Chinoya Street.
That's the one he's talking about. The
And
train.
that was the morning school.
Yes.
And then you used to come this side.
Afternoon we
Gujarati.
went.
I see.
In Morgan was where?
Morgan was just across the road.
There's a road there.
It was started in 54. There was quite a headmaster, I forget his name,
First one.
first headmaster, Morgan High School. I remember we used to,
Not Brett. Before
no,
Brett.
Brett came in your time,
Yeah.
in Mahendra's time.
Yes.
And I remember Brett saying once, oh, Mahendra will not go to university, and I went and really had an argument with him. When we sent him to Canada, he wanted to go to Canada. But I remember playing tennis once in a while in those tennis courts in 54.
Okay.
And 54 is when it was the first secondary school for Indians and mixed race.
Okay.
And later it moved to Arcadia area. Now that was another story,
Because we are outvoted.
outvoted because actually that Morgan High School,
Should have
because
been
majority were,
opposite there.
were in Ridgeview,
Right.
they wanted to build it where all the churches are.
Yes.
That was the original ground for it.
Opposite Louis Mountbatten.
Coming back to Cameron Street,
Yeah,
how did the society get that land?
that I don't know.
Okay.
That
nobody told me.
we've got just by story. Now we
Yeah.
got to get the other story.
Because
And,
remember the title deeds
Yeah.
we had got from the local government.
Yeah.
It was given
well,
to us.
well, the land for the temple and the school,
and the
right?
whole.
The whole later, right? But those two properties was a grant deed.
Grant, yeah.
The-
by the Queen.
Yeah, the government gave that land.
Yeah.
And I think it was also at that time because of the influence of the early guys and maybe some, I don't know whether Pinjar Naik was at that time.
No,
also
Vimjar
some-
Naik was
had
not,
left,
but that
yeah.
was the influence of people like JB.
Yes.
JB was a secretary of Hindu society for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. No, but this was during his father's time.
In his father's time.
Baulal Kaka's
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the land was for the temple was given as a grant.
Okay.
So I think from what I recall, it was Chotubai Desai and a
Yes,
few.
there was a Desai family.
Chotubhai,
also.
Sureshbhai's father was that time instrumental when they petitioned that time the governor to give land for the temple. That's why that title did say that it's a grant deed,
Yeah.
and all the mineral rights still remain with
Remain with the government.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's how they got that land. The other was a commercial purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then I think
yeah.
that's about.
Yeah.
If I remember anything, maybe.
Yeah. No, I think that's
But
been
broadly-
very-
But the samurai in Haridada came.
Yeah.
I think the most
Came
important
to
was
railway
that
avenue.
Hari Dada's contribution to
yeah.
that this group to make this the Omkar temple. I
Yeah.
think that was instrumental, and from what I remember, he was also instrumental in raising the subscription for
Yes.
the funds. He used to go and
They
collect.
used to collect by railway station.
Yeah, they used to collect every day. Used to collect
Oh, no,
everybody's
he used to
contribution.
go around collecting.
Yeah, for the
But
fund.
that Morar family was also important.
Yeah.
So
That Morar, that's
so
we get that
Morar
from
is,
Jackson.
you know who?
Magan Bana.
No,
That's-
Morar is NM Ranchod, એટલે Morar Ranchod. That's
Possible,
Ranchod
yeah.
and Sons.
The Nathu Kaka.
Nathu Kaka's father is
Vicky.
their father was Morar Ranchod.
Even
So-
these people are Morar.
And they had a shop in the old.
By the bridge there.
No, not by the bridge. They used to have a shop, I think around where NBE's or somewhere in that area. Long time ago.
Okay,
A small shop in that street.
yeah.
What is it? Not Cameron.
Moffat Street.
Moffat Street.
Moffat Street, yeah. yeah.
NBC is
Yeah, that Moffat
That
Street,
is-
they used to have it somewhere this side where Suman, the late Suman had,
Yeah,
Nano VP's property
yeah.
in that area somewhere.
Yes, and that line.
Next to
Somewhere
there
in
was
that
Gokul.
area.
Next to there is Gokul. Nagaji's. So somewhere there.
But a lot of the Moffat Street was not built when
No.
I was little.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
That came much later.
Much later, yeah.
And even on this side, Resenda Street,
Mhm.
where Miley Bika is
Yeah, this empty
Karima
plot,
Pondo.
yeah.
Mhm.
His father used to go around, so I was told, with a wheelbarrow selling wood. They came from very poor families.
Yeah.
And that land next to Krishna
Mhm.
was offered to us. And of course, those days £100, £200 was a lot of money. And they didn't have it. So we never expanded this way.
A lot of the community used to be also around by the waterfalls and
Very little at Waterfall. The main
like
community,
Nagas and then.
That was
no,
late,
main
much later.
community was 2nd Street, Railway Avenue,
Uh-huh.
and
then
South Avenue,
Yeah.
and up here, like Gulab used to have a shop there. Then right up to Copy. But you couldn't stay in the Copy area. I remember going to Ali Adams' house on Copy.
Yeah.
I think it was 48 or 49.
Yeah. He's the only one that had.
He's the only one, and I was little, and we all gathered there.
Yeah.
And I think the governor had come, or somebody had
The
come
governor.
to open it.
So Nagin Kaka's dad, that Moti Dada,
Yes.
he also came like. when-
That I don't know how he came.
No,
Subhash may know.
no, Moti Dada was part of the 1920s because the
Yes.
bell in the Cameron Street temple was given by Moti Dada,
Ah, okay.
and it's inscribed there
Inscribed.
by Moti Mangar.
Ah.
Yeah.
But
it's
that
got
was the whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And you see, most of this group
Yeah.
of Patels came primarily from Dharmas.
So that
Yes.
was that.
And
yeah.
they knew it, and we were...
no, because who came directly from Dharmas to Harare, mostly from where Haridada.
yeah, it's from our Fadiu.
The
Fadiu,
chalk,
yeah.
the Mohan Chowk, yeah.
Yeah, Mohan
So
Chowk.
that's what I see right now.
Yeah.
Gandhi Chowk, right? Gandhi Chowk,
Gandhi
which is
Chowk
right
came
next
in
door.
like Ashabhai and
Yeah.
others.
Like we actually went to Zambia.
Yes.
We came in from Zambia.
And then you see here, in those days, until there used to be an Interterritorial Movements Act, even during the Federation, from 53 to 63, where Indians couldn't stay here.
Right.
And you couldn't travel and
Right,
move.
exactly. And they fought
And
for
that,
that.
that came out when Federation
Right.
was about to be broken.
JB mentions
That's when
that
your
in his-
father and others came.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When-
Came to South.
But before that, I still remember in the late 40s, my father bringing all kinds of his relatives and others and they used to go from Beira to Malawi or Beira to Northern Rhodesia.
Oh, I see.
And your father, and there was Nanu Raghunathji with us, they used to drive them from here
to Zambia.
to the border
Yeah.
and out.
Very fascinating.
And quite a lot of people came like that. So it's like all immigrant families. If one comes, then they bring their family, they bring their friends, their friends bring their family, and that's how it grows.
1923 amnesty. What can you tell us about that?
What amnesty?
There was an amnesty. There were quite a lot of our people illegally here in the country. In 1923, they were then legalized.
23 is when we became
Self-governing.
colony.
So that's the
So
time.
that's when
That's
everybody
when it
was
happened.
here.
Yeah, they cut.
Everybody illegal. Like my granddad, he had come in illegal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people came like that,
So
but not
self-governing.
illegally in the sense that they didn't go through a test.
They did that.
Do you follow? They all must have gone through a test of some kind. Because if you look at the archives, there are documents there from late 1890s to about 1910, 1911.
Of all the immigrants.
Yeah.
For the big issue
Asiatic.
was they didn't want the Asiatics here.
Yes.
And they definitely, because they saw them as a threat,
Yes.
economic threat.
Economic fit.
So we were not allowed to have agricultural land. We were not allowed to trade anywhere except in that area. The only person who had
Business rights.
a shop in town was PK.
Oh, silk. W silk.
W Silks.
W. Silks was
and,
Nagrani.
and Nagrani.
Nagrani, yeah.
Okay.
And that was on this side of First Street, near where Rado is or somewhere around there.
Right, yeah.
That was the only shop that was Indian owned. Well, the property may not, but he was the tenant. W&E Silks, that's the only one. So we were confined to this area. We were not recruited in the military or the civil service or anything.
no.
That comes later,
Later
as
on.
teachers,
Yes.
but not as like MP. When he became an engineer from London, he couldn't get a job in the civil service. That's why he started Furco.
That's called
Original.
electrical company. Yeah.
I remember holding a ladder for him at one of the houses in Chinoya Street when he was trying to fit a bulb or something. That was MP then.
You guys studied together, is it?
No, we didn't study together. We lived together for a little
In
while.
Fine.
Holland,
Thanks,
where?
No, in London.
Oh, London.
Okay, so we're cutting it off
Yeah,
now, eh?
yeah.
Right, so we can just chat.